For my birthday this year, my wife got me a pot of 5 tiny caterpillars. I was so excited for this project to grow them into butterflies. You can see they're so small, but Rachel actually told me that they were even smaller when they got delivered the day before. The caterpillars were growing day by day. We were so surprised at how big they were getting so quickly. They were doubling in size some days. The brown stuff you see at the bottom of their pot is their food, which they had plenty of, and they would just eat round the clock. By day 3, we were noticing that this one caterpillar was a lot smaller than his brothers and sisters, and he wasn't moving around very much, so we thought he might have sadly not made it. However, he soon caught up and had a growth spurt. He was just a late bloomer, and by the end of the caterpillar phase, you can see we couldn't even tell which one he was anymore. He was just as big as his brothers and sisters. We could tell that it was going to be time for the caterpillars to go into their chrysalids soon, because they were climbing up and hanging out on the ceiling of their pot quite a lot. And you can see that they also started to go into a J shape, which is the shape that they take when they're getting ready to make their chrysalids. And soon enough, in a couple of days, they'd all become chrysalids. There was one lagging behind. We think it was probably the one who was late to grow as well, but he went into his chrysalid too, and they're all in there looking very cozy. We were very curious about what was going on inside the chrysalids, so we did some research, and we discovered that some vital structures are retained, such as the breathing tubes, but most of the caterpillar turns into goo and then reforms completely as a brand new butterfly, so we were very excited to see them emerge. Once the chrysalids had had a couple of days to harden, it was time to transfer them into their butterfly enclosure, so we took the lid off the pot and cleared away the frass and webbing from around the chrysalids. This is an essential step so that the butterflies don't get tangled in this stuff when they emerge, as that can deform their wings. This was a surprise to us, but apparently chrysalids do have a defense mechanism where if they feel threatened, they can wiggle really hard and hopefully scare away the predator. So when we started clearing away the frass from around the chrysalids, this defense mechanism kicked in. You can see they all wiggled really hard. One of them actually kept wiggling for about half an hour afterwards, even after we'd placed him inside the butterfly enclosure, but he did calm down eventually. One of the chrysalids did fall from the lid of the caterpillar enclosure when we opened it. According to the instructions, this does happen sometimes, so we placed him on a paper towel near the edge of the enclosure next to his brothers and sisters. After spending some time inside the butterfly garden, the chrysalids began to open and butterflies began to emerge. It was very exciting. One morning I got up and 3 butterflies had come out of their chrysalids. 2 of them had followed their instincts and climbed up the walls of the enclosure, where they had stood drying their wings, and their wings had hardened into shape nice and straight. The 3rd butterfly, it seems like that instinct hadn't kicked in for him, and he'd stayed sitting on the floor, and as a result his wings had been sweeping the floor when they hardened and had bent a little bit crooked and hardened that way. So he was not the strongest flyer, but he seemed quite happy exploring the enclosure. You can see some red droplets here inside the enclosure. We checked the instructions and that was nothing to worry about. It looks like blood, but it's actually just something called meconium, which is basically leftover bits of caterpillar that the butterfly didn't need, and they expel them after they emerge from the chrysalis. So we were reassured that nothing was wrong with the butterflies, and they were starting to become more active and fly about the enclosure, which was lovely to watch. When I woke up the next morning, another chrysalis had opened and another butterfly had come out, so that was 4 out of 5, and he wasted no time in drying out his wings and then starting to explore the enclosure, and we decided we will wait one more day before we release them all, so that hopefully we could take them all out and release them together after number 5 had made his grand entrance. On the final day of having butterflies, I was so determined to see the final chrysalis open and the butterfly emerge. I set my alarm for 5 AM, but the butterfly must have set his alarm even earlier because he was already up and about when I woke up. I forgot to take any video of this last morning until we released the butterflies, sorry. We decided to release the butterflies that day because some of them had been out of their chrysalids for a couple of days by then, and we really didn't want to have lots of butterfly eggs or baby caterpillars to take care of. So we waited until the warmest part of the day, and then we went over to some green space near where we live. We found these beautiful buddleias. Buddleias are plants that butterflies really love, so we thought this would be a great place to let them go. One of the butterflies found his way out of the enclosure straight away, but the others needed a little bit of help and coaxing. but one by one they all did fly away off up into the sky or into nearby plants, and it was so exciting to let them go and watch them go off to their very important jobs of pollinating our plants. Our last little butterfly with the crooked wings didn't seem to be able to fly very well. We considered keeping him as a pet in the mesh butterfly garden, but we decided that ultimately he would probably prefer to live out the rest of his life in freedom, moving around in nature and being among the flowers where he belonged. So we found a lovely buddleia and we placed him on there, and we knew straight away that we'd made the right decision because he looked very busy and happy burrowing his face in the flowers. So that was our complete journey as caterpillar and chrysalis and then butterfly mums. We really enjoyed using InsectLore to raise our painted lady butterflies, and the mesh butterfly garden is reusable. We can order more caterpillars, so I'm sure we'll be doing it all again very soon.